despite another late inning comeback attempt in which they actually won Friday night 5-4 to kick off that series opener against the Detroit Tigers. The Philadelphia Phillies dropped Saturday's game 7-5, tied the series 1-1 heading into Sunday night baseball's matchup for the series win. The series finale here on Sunday. Christopher Sanchez takes the mound for the Phillies. He is having an incredible season, so hopefully he can get it done tonight on Sunday Night Baseball in front of a national audience at Citizens Bank Park to win this series 2-1 and move on to another 3-game home series against the Baltimore Orioles. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Yesterday, the Phillies ace was on the mound against the Tigers ace, Tarik Skubal. And unfortunately, Zack Wheeler did not have his best stuff yet again. He's been a little off his game his past couple starts here for the Phillies, and that was the same issue yet again on Saturday. Zack Wheeler first allowed 2 solo home runs in the 3rd inning. The Tigers had an early 2-0 lead, and really when you're facing a guy like Tarik Skubal, who was the Cy Young a year ago, who's the favorite to be the Cy Young again in the American League this year in 2025, that's really all a guy like that needs is 1-2 runs to just get through his game and win for his team, and that ended up happening. But Zack Wheeler not only let up those 2 solo home runs, he also allowed a 2-run home run in the 7th inning, gave the Tigers a 4-0 lead. The Phillies offense couldn't do anything against Skubal throughout most of that game. He was replaced by Tanner Banks in that 7th inning. Tanner Banks ended up letting up a solo home run himself to give the Tigers a 5-0 lead there in the 7th inning. Zack Wheeler did pitch pretty solid, I would say, overall, despite those 3 home runs he allowed through those 6+ innings. He had 8 strikeouts through the first 4 innings, so his strikeouts were there. It's just he had a couple pitches right over the plate, which you can't do against a good team like the Tigers because they are going to do damage against those pitches and against you, and that's what they did, hitting those 3 home runs against Zack Wheeler. He ended up finishing with 6+ innings. He allowed 9 hits, 3 earned runs. That's because Otto Kemp had an error there in the 7th inning. So one of those runs that Wheeler did allow, of those 4 runs, one of them weren't earned. So just the 3 earned run out of the 4 runs he did allow. But he did have 10 strikeouts. So some stuff to like about Zack Wheeler in that game yesterday, but some stuff not to like allowing those 3 home runs and putting the Phillies in an early hole. He hasn't had his best stuff, as I said, in now his last 4 starts, including yesterday. His last start that he pitched really well was his complete game back on July 6th. Ever since then, just hasn't had his great stuff. He's allowed 14 runs, 13 earned runs in his last 4 starts. So very unlike Zack Wheeler. He's let up some home runs, some walks here and there as well. Still the strikeouts are there, but he's maybe losing ground here to Pittsburgh Pirates starter Paul Skeens, who is the favorite to win the National League Cy Young. Zack Wheeler can find himself in another situation where he is the runner-up, just like he was last year to Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves in the Cy Young for the National League. Hopefully Zack Wheeler can figure things out, and when he gets back on the mound for his next start, he's back to the guy who is just purely dominant and winning games for the Phillies, similar to how he was in his complete game on July 6th and before that. Just a weird little slump for Zack Wheeler right now. I did mention the Phillies did have a little bit of a comeback like they did on Friday when they won that ball game 5-4 late in the game. But unfortunately for the Phillies and the Phillies offense, it was a little bit of too little, too late situation yesterday in that 7-5 loss to the Tigers. Just couldn't get anything going against Tarik Skubal for most of the game, as I said. Bryce Harper had a single in the 1st inning, but then there were no hits or no base runners until the 6th inning when Weston Wilson hit a double off the top of the wall against Tarik Skubal. Nothing came out of that either. They did get to Skubal in the 7th inning, though. He was cruising through the game. He had allowed just those 2 hits, no runs. He had a ton of strikeouts like Zack Wheeler did. He was at like 75 pitches or something, 70 pitches through those 6 innings. So he was in a good spot to potentially have a complete game and just a masterful performance against the Phillies. But they did get to him in the 7th inning, like I just said. Harper, again, had a leadoff single against Skubal there in the 7th inning. JT Realmuto had an RBI double. Gave the Phillies their first run of the ballgame, a 5-1 lead still for the Tigers. But then Nick Castellanos came up big. He hit a 2-run bomb to straightaway center field right over Monty's angle to give the Phillies a give the Tigers a 5-3 lead, cut their deficit to 2 runs. Phillies were back in the ballgame against Schoolboy. They got those runs, rallied against him there after he was just shutting them down through most of the game. And then Tarek Schoolboy left the game after that. And then Bryce Harper had a very good day at the plate. He had those 2 singles against Schoolboy. And then in the 8th inning, he hit a 2-run home run, just like Castellanos did. Unfortunately, the Tigers did get some insurance runs before that. So instead of it being tied 5-5, it was 7-5 Tigers lead. And that's what they ultimately won, 7-5. Just not enough out of the Phillies offense throughout most of the game. Maybe if they could string together some hits earlier in the game, get a run or two, it could have been a different outcome for them yesterday with that comeback. But just a little bit too little, too late for the Phillies, and they ended up losing that ball game 7-5 to even up this series 1-1 heading into Sunday Night Baseball's series finale at Citizens Bank Park. Now, the reason that the Phillies didn't tie it up 5-5 off of that Bryce Harper 2-run home run in the 8th inning was because Matt Strahm, the Phillies reliever and all-star reliever from a year ago in 2024, hasn't had his best stuff so far in 2025. He's been very inconsistent. Not the same year he had last year out of the Phillies in the bullpen there. He came into the game in the 8th inning for the Phillies. Matt Strahm allowed some base runners, a 2-run triple in that 8th inning. Tigers had a 5-3 lead at the time after the Phillies scored those 3 runs in the 7th inning off of Schoolboy. And then, obviously, a 2-run triple gave them a 7-3 lead for the Tigers. Matt Strahm did allow 2 straight walks just before that triple. So, giving guys free bases, because he did get the first 2 outs of the inning, and then 2 straight walks, and then the 2-run triple. Giving guys free bases leads to trouble, especially against a good team like the Detroit Tigers, a good offense. And you just can't be doing that as a playoff team like the Phillies, a championship caliber team. And that's why the bullpen has been their biggest weakness in 2025 because of reasons like that. Just too much inconsistency, giving guys free bases, allowing these big hits in bad situations where you have to keep the game close late in the game, trying to give your team a chance to win the ball game. Matt Strahm did not do that for the Phillies yesterday. Allowed that 2-run triple, those 2 walks, put the game kind of out of hand there. Tigers had a late 4-run lead there going into the bottom half of the 8th inning for the Phillies. Just too much to overcome, really. We saw Bryce Harper hit that home run in the bottom of the half inning, but still, we're down 2 runs after that 7-5. As I said, Matt Strahm hasn't had his best stuff in 2025. He did have a really good month of July, however. He allowed just 2 hits and no earned runs in 9 appearances through July, but now his first appearance of August, obviously these 2 walks, the 2-run triple, gave the Tigers those 2 much needed insurance runs and kind of put the game out of reach for the Phillies, and the reason why the Tigers got that win to even up the series. Now going into a little bit of something else here, speaking of pitching, this time starting pitching, Aaron Nola, who hasn't pitched in a game for the Phillies since May 14th, has been on the injured list both with an ankle and rib injury for a long time now. Like I said, hasn't pitched since May 14th. It is now August 3rd at the making of this video. Aaron Nola made his first rehab start Friday with the Iron Pigs in AAA at Lehigh Valley. He went 3 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 walk, and had 3 strikeouts in that appearance, in that start for the Iron Pigs. He said he felt pretty good, pitched pretty well. He was pitching sore is what he said. As you can imagine, he's not sore because of his injury. He was just normal pitching sore, how you feel after appearing in a ball game at the major league level, or at professional baseball level, I should say, in the minor leagues there. He's getting closer to a return. He wants to still get some more feel for his pitches, get a little bit more pitch count up deeper into a ball game, maybe another rehab start, bullpens, all that fun stuff. But Aaron Nola is progressing well. He's getting closer to returning to the Phillies starting rotation as we are in these final 2 months of the regular season, getting ready for the playoffs. Aaron Nola hasn't had his best season, as we all know, if you remember back earlier in the season when he was healthy in pitching, or I shouldn't say healthy because he said he was dealing with that ankle injury, made it tough to plant his leg and really get into his pitches and get into a groove on the mound, which is why he ended up on the IL and maybe why he was struggling so much this season early on. He has a 1-7 record in 2025 with a 6.16 ERA in 9 starts before he landed on the IL. So just very unusual stuff out of Aaron Nola. He was allowing way too many home runs, too many hits, just very odd to see out of him, who's had a very good career overall, very solid for the Phillies, just a very bad season through his first 9 starts earlier in the year before he landed on the IL. Hopefully, these injuries are in the past now. He ramps back up to what he needs to be at, and he can join this Phillies rotation, get back inserted there for Taijuan Walker, and really just round out this rotation heading into this final part of the season, the playoff push, and into the postseason. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Christopher Sanchez on the mound here on Sunday Night Baseball. Tune in to ESPN to watch the Phillies try to win this series against the Detroit Tigers and then head into another 3-game series against an American League team, the Baltimore Orioles, who aren't having a good season in 2025. Again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Phils.